There is palpable tension in Bauchi State as lawmakers elect in the State House of Assembly today voted for 2 speakers in 2 different elections, 2 inaugurations and different locations. The inauguration of the 9th Assembly, which was scheduled to hold at 10 a.m. today, held earlier than agreed time, as 11 of the 31 elected members of the Assembly held a session as early as 7 in the morning to elect a speaker. But the process did not go unchallenged as 20 other members from the APC stormed the House, held a parallel inauguration, and elected a new speaker, but in a different location. Our correspondent, Hajara Aliyu, tells us more.
It became obvious that a possible crisis was in the offing after the postponement of the inauguration. It was scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. and the roads leading to the State Assembly are barricaded with armed security operatives taking strategic positions. Surprisingly, 11 members-elect had arrived at the chambers earlier than the scheduled time to begin the inauguration, with the clerk of the assembly, Umar Gital, presiding. Jamilu Dahiru of the NNPP nominates Abubakar Suleiman of the APC, who represents Ningi Central Constituency, as Speaker, while Danlami Kawile of the PDP, representing Zungur Galembi constituency, is equally nominated as Deputy Speaker. Both of them are returned unopposed.
I, Abubakar Y. Suleiman, do solemnly.
The Speaker immediately takes his oath of office and is decorated with the paraphernalia of office before swearing in other members. The plenary about to end, the remaining 20 lawmakers from the APC walk in around 8 a.m. and the session, which was scheduled to begin at 10 a.m., is immediately adjourned by the newly sworn-in Speaker. This sparks an uproar with the 20 lawmakers protesting against the action as they move to make away with the maize, an action which is resisted by the sergeant at arms. Shortly after, 18 of the 20 lawmakers hold a parallel election outside the chambers in front of a maze erected outside the assembly complex. The immediate past Speaker of the Assembly, Kaua Damina, is returned unopposed and Tukur Ibrahim returned as Deputy Speaker. They also take their oaths of office.
We entered the chamber. They were in the process of electing the Deputy Speaker, but our presence, I think, scared them. They had no option but to even suspend the sitting. So they went, I think, out with maybe the mess. I landed somewhere using either BIP9 or government house to elect the Deputy Speaker and swear in the remaining 8 members. So we, as abiding citizens, we waited for 10 o'clock to hit, because that was the time selected.
The 11 members Deputy Speaker defends their election.
We do it accordingly. And as I said, what we did, we followed the due process. And we arrive into the Bauchi State House of Assembly chamber at exactly 9 o'clock, and we follow all the necessary procedures.
Given what played out here, it is clear that a bigger crisis may break out in the Bauchi State House of Assembly if action is not taken to resolve the matter, especially with the peculiar situation where the executive is controlled by the PDP and the State Assembly is dominated by the APC. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
The federal government is considering abolishing the Almajiri system of education in the north. The National Security Advisor, Mr. Bagana Mungono, gave the hint while clarifying his earlier statement regarding the prescription of some groups. The NSA says in light of the President's directive that governments at all levels must ensure free and compulsory education, the government will have to stop the Almajiri system.
Ultimately, government will have to proscribe this Almajiri phenomenon because we cannot continue to have urchins, street children roaming around only for them in a couple of years or decades to become a problem to society. We are not saying that they're going to be contained in a manner that, I'm sure you think maybe we might want to do something that is harmful to them. No, what we want to do is to work with the state governments to enforce the policy of education for every child. It is every child's right, his entitlement, for as long as he's a Nigerian. We don't start thinking short, mid, and long term to overcome this problem. And like I told you earlier on, to overcome this problem, you require a collective effort. You can't carry this load and drop it on top of the government. Even government itself should not act as a one-legged tripod. It has to be three-legged. The executive cannot be the one carrying all the problem. It has to work with the judiciary and the legislature. But that in itself is not enough. You need to mobilize the rest of society. And that rest of society, you start mobilizing them 20 years to the time that you need them. So you need to deal with the issue of these children, these al-Majirain. Regardless of how people feel about it, we must work in sync with, the rest of the international community.
In the meantime, the president today inaugurated the National Economic Council with a charge to the council to focus on security, agriculture, health, and economic development. President Muhammadu Buhari's message is contained in his inaugural address at the State House Council chambers in Abuja. The council is headed by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, with the 36 state governors as members. Others include the secretaries of the government of the Federation, the governor of the Central Bank, among others. Our correspondent, Ibrahim Adra, reports.
It's the 95th meeting of the Council, the third in 2019 and the first in President Buhari's second term. The President's duty here is to inaugurate the Council. The Economic Policy and Advisory Body is chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo.
Today's meeting focusing on the crucial issue of national security, and we will be forwarding the outcome of our deliberations to you very shortly.
Before the inauguration, President Buhari recalls the Council's efforts in 4 years.
The Council made very significant progress, holding an unprecedented total of 38 meetings and setting up 10 ad hoc committees to address various issues of national concern.
He wants the new Council to focus on some key areas, especially security and education.
As you are no doubt aware, our successes in these 4 areas will go a long way in lifting our people out of poverty.
The President says the task of educating the nation is for government at all levels.
It is indeed a crime for any parent to keep his child out of school for this period. In my view, when a government fails to provide the schools, teachers, and teaching materials necessary for basic education, it is actually aiding and abetting that crime. This is therefore a call to action. I have the honor and the privilege to formally inaugurate the National Economic Council today.
After the inauguration, the Council went into a closed-door meeting lasting about 4 hours. The National Security Advisor, the Inspector General of Police and the Chief of Defense Staff briefed the Council on the security situation in the nation.
Finally, I also emphasized to Council the need to conduct police reforms. The police is the lead agency in dealing with any internal security problem. Any domestic issue should actually be vested in the Nigeria Police Force.
We're getting more fleets of vehicles, and we want to put cameras on the vehicles that will patrol our highways. It is not only going to be the vehicles with police officers moving up and down, but the cameras will be helping them to see far away before they get closer.
The The council also took note of the balances in the excess crude account and others.
Of the excess crude account.
An audit committee was set up to reconcile NNPC remittances with Edo, Kaduna, Jigawa and Ebonyi as members. The Security and Policing Committee has Ekiti, Bayelsa, Ebonyi, Katsina and Kogi states as members. Others on the committee are the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defense Staff and the Inspector General of Police. The Nigeria Police is pushing ahead with its plans to install CCTV in the nation's cities, provide highway patrols, just as the Police Reform Trust Fund got a positive mention. From the Presidential Villa, Abuja, Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
Staying with the presidency, the president played host to his counterpart from the Republic of Benin, President Patrice Talon, at the State House. Mr. Talon, who is in Nigeria on a private visit, arrived at the forecourt of the villa and was received by President Buhari and other government officials before both leaders met behind closed doors. Journalists were not briefed on the outcome of the meeting, which lasted over an hour 30 minutes, as both leaders maintained it was a private session. Benin Republic has been in the news lately over recent political tension between President Talon and former President Boni Yayi, who has been placed under house arrest. A few days ago, former President Boni Yayi's lawyer warned that President Talon's recent actions may plunge the country into deeper crisis. Stakeholders in the southeastern region, including the Southeast governors and the business community, are demanding the operationalization of Security Trust Fund in the Southeast, training and retraining of security personnel, among others, for ease of doing business in the region. They also identified adherence to rules of engagements to encourage peaceful coexistence between herders and farmers in the Southeast region.
This is a gathering of stakeholders in the Southeast region, including representatives of the Southeast governors, the Nigerian police, business community, the Yeti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, and others. They are here for the 2019 Southeast Regional Security Summit to discuss effective and better policing in the Southeast for the ease of doing business in the region. The Deputy Inspector General of Police coordinating the Southeast region, Godwin Mobodo, says the police is intensifying its efforts to tackle the security challenges head-on with the proposed deployment of regional surveillance system.
We plan a city surveillance system that will go around at least the South-South and the Southeast geopolitical zones.
For the leadership of the Mieti Allah, they promised to take strict measures to put their houses in order for better harmony with host communities, while the Enugu Chamber of Commerce raises concern over policing in the region, with a few recommendations on how to provide a better business-friendly environment.
We can always assure the government of cooperation of our leadership at both state and local government levels in working to fish out criminals from the society we live.
The Ebonyi State Deputy Governor Kelechi Igwe pledges the commitment of the government in the region to accommodate people from all extractions, while appealing to the settlers and cattle breeders to respect the culture of their host communities.
Every state, every local government, every community has a culture, they have tradition that must not be violated. And any attempt to violate these age-long traditions and customs is what results in misunderstanding that will look as if the herders and the host communities are having issues.
With these fresh commitments and recommendations already spelled out, citizens will want to see a full implementation that will translate to rapid growth and economic integration of the region. Nkiruka Ajogu, Channels Television News.